this is great. Shh. Quiet, please. Thank you for staying quiet, class. Anyway, hello, class. Welcome to this week's filmmaking lesson. We have a development for next year's series on YouTube, so you better work on that, okay? Good. All right. So first, we will be doing home video releases. On today, we will be doing the Bee Gees' "How Can You Mend a Broken Heart" 2020 film. Here's a synopsis in this film. The film follows the life and career of brothers Maurice, Robin, and Barry Gibb. The Bee Gees includes interviews with Barry, alongside other musicians, and individuals including Justin Timberlake, Noel Gallagher, Nick Jonas, Chris Martin, Eric Clapton, Mark Ronson, Lulu, Vince Maloney, Alan Kendall, Bill Oakes, Andy Gibb, and Yvonne Gibb. Alright. On to tomorrow. On tomorrow, we will be doing Candyman 2021 film. Here's a plot to this film. But this plot is only this article's summary may be too long or excessive details. Please help improve it by removing unnecessary details and making it more concise. October 2021. Right now, here's a plot in this film. In 2018, 27 years after the events of the first film, visual artist Anthony McCoy lives in Chicago with his girlfriend, art gallery director Brianna Cartwright. Looking for a creative spark, Anthony goes to Cabrini Green after hearing the legend of Helen Lyle, who was claimed to have kidnapped a baby and killed several people before immolating herself in a community bonfire. From Brianna's brother, Troy, after roaming the abandoned row houses, Anthony meets laundromat owner Lillian Burke, who introduces him to the story of the Candyman, telling him how he met Sherman Fields in 1977 and saw him being beaten to death by policemen who falsely believed him responsible for putting a razor blade in a piece of candy that ended up in the hands of a white girl. Although Sherman was posthumously exonerated, Burke implies that if somebody says Candyman 5 times into a mirror, Sherman's spirit will appear and kill the summoner. Inspired, Anthony makes an elaborate art piece based on the Candyman legend titled "Say My Name" to display at Brianna's and her co-worker Clive Prevler's art exhibit. However, the piece is disparaged by art critic Finley Stevens and others, enraging Anthony, who drunkenly storms off the exhibit. Later that night, Clive and his girlfriend are brutally murdered by the Candyman, who was summoned by the latter. All the while, Anthony starts compulsively painting gruesome portraits of unknown people. Anthony becomes more obsessed with the Candyman to Brianna's chagrin, who is reminded of her own father, who was also an obsessive artist who committed suicide when she was a child. After Finley Stevens is murdered by a Candyman, and Anthony has 2 encounters with Sherman's ghost, he confronts Burke and the Candyman and learns that the legend originated in the 1890s with Daniel Robitaille, an artist who was lynched for having an interracial affair, and since then, the legend has been renewed for generations with the souls of other black men who have been victims of racism, becoming part of the Candyman hive, who also are the subjects of Anthony's paintings. As the legend continues spreading, a group of schoolgirls summoned the Candyman and are subsequently killed. Anthony begins to undergo a physical transformation stemming from a bee sting he received on his hand before meeting Burke, which develops into a huge scab that starts spreading across his entire body. He goes to a hospital where he learns that his mother, Annie Mary, lied about where he was born, and when he confronts her, she reluctantly reveals that he was the baby rescued from the fire the night Helen died, then that Candyman had been responsible for the spree she was blamed for, though Helen saved him from Robitaille, who abducted him and planned to sacrifice him in the fire. Annie Mary never told him about it because she wanted Anthony to have a normal life. The community had vowed never to repeat the Candyman's legend after that night. She fears what will happen now that Anthony has broken the pact. Anthony leaves resigned to his fate and wanders through the Cabrini greenhouses. Worried about Anthony, Brianna goes to Burke's laundromat at Cabrini Green, where she is kidnapped by Burke and takes her to an abandoned church where Anthony is in a few state nearing completion of his transformation into the Candyman. Burke reveals that he not only witnessed Sherman's death, but he also witnessed his spirit returns as a Candyman who killed his older sister and her friend. After being summoned, Burke plans to have the police gun Anthony down to reclaim the Candyman legend as an instrument of vengeance rather than a symbol of black suffering. He then saws off Anthony's hand and replaces it with a hook before chasing Brianna into the row houses, where she kills him with a pen. Anthony shows up and collapses in her arms. As police arrive, they shoot Anthony dead and arrest Brianna. As the police attempts to intimidate her into agreeing that Anthony provoked the police, Brianna summons the Candyman through the police rear view mirror, who appears in Anthony's guise and massacres the police. As more police arrive at the scene, Anthony takes in on the appearance of Robitaille and instructs Brianna to tell everyone. Alright. On Wednesday, we will be doing Christmas with the Cranks 2004 film. Here's the plot to this film. After Riverside, Illinois couple Leather, Tim Allen, and Nora Crank, Jamie Lee Curtis, see their daughter, Blair, Julie Gonzalo, depart for Peace Corps assignment in Peru on the Sunday following Thanksgiving, empty nest syndrome sets in. Leather calculates that he and Nora spent $6,132 during the previous year's holiday season, and not looking forward to celebrating Christmas without their daughter. He suggests that they invest the money usually spent on decorations, gifts, and entertainment and treat themselves to a 10-day Caribbean cruise instead. Leather insists that they completely boycott the holidays, and eventually Nora agrees. The Cranks are amazed to discover they are considered pariahs as a result of their decision to skip the holidays. Most vocal in their objections are neighbors Vic Fromeyer, Dan Aykroyd, and Walt Skill, Emmett Walsh. Vic, who is the self-proclaimed leader of the street, organizes a campaign to force the Cranks to decorate their homes. Walt does not seem to like the Leather, so his efforts are primarily personal. However, it is revealed that Walt's wife, Beth, is suffering from cancer, perhaps depending his holiday spirits. Children, led by Vic's son Spike, Eric Persilliman, constantly forced them to put up a Frosty the Snowman decoration, and Christmas carolers tried to revive the cranked holiday spirit by singing on their lawn, which Luther stops by freezing his own lawn. Even the newspaper gets into the act by publishing a front-page story, complete with a photograph of the unit of Crank House. Still, Luther and Nora continue to stand their ground. The two are in the process of packing on Christmas Eve morning when they receive a call from Blair, who announces that she is at Miami International Airport en route home with their Peruvian fiance Enrique as a surprise for her parents. When Blair asks if they are having their usual party that night, a panicked Nora says yes. Comic chaos ensues as Luther and Nora find themselves trying to decorate the house and coordinate a party with only 12 hours to spare before their daughter and future son-in-law arrive. While Nora scrambles to find food, Luther goes to buy a tree but is unable to get anything but a small, dried-up tree that quickly loses what few leaves it has. Luther then attempts to borrow the tree of neighbor West Trogan, who is going away for a week with the family to visit his in-laws, with the warning that he is not to break a single ornament or damage it. Luther enlists Spike's help to transport the tree across the street, but the neighbors spot him then. Assuming that he is stealing the tree, they call the police. Spike comes to Luther's rescue by showing that Luther has Trogon's keys and thus was given permission to borrow the tree. Nora comes home, having only been able to obtain smoked trout, and orders Luther to put up Frosty on the roof of their house, which falls miserably when he and Frosty fall off the roof. Once it is established by why Luther is trying frantically to decorate his home, the neighbors, led by Vic, come out in full force to help him and Nora ready for for Blair. Blair calls to say she landed from Miami, and the neighbors send the police to pick her up and stall long enough to let everyone finish setting up. The party starts off strong, with Blair having no idea of the earlier drama. Enrique thanks everyone for the warm welcome, and Nora thanks her neighbors for being a strong community. Luther, and to everyone's disappointment, offers only a half-hearted toast when Nora confronts Luther. He tries to convince her to still go on the cruise, but Nora refuses, disgusted that he is not happy at Blair's home. Having a change of heart, Luther slips out of the house and goes across the street to the Skeel home. Bev's cancer, once a remission, has returned, and knowing this may be their last holiday together, Luther insists they take the cruise in place of him and Nora, going so far as to offer to take care of their cat, Muffles, to allow them to go. At first Walt and Bev decline, but ultimately decide to accept his generosity. Luther, whose holiday spirit has been renewed, finally admits that skipping Christmas was not a good idea, with Nora suggesting they should maybe do it next year. Alright. On Thursday, we will be doing Final Fantasy The Spirits Within 2001 film. Here's a plot to this film. In 2065, Earth is infested by alien life forms known as phantoms. By physical contact, phantoms consume the Gaia spirit of living beings, killing them instantly, though a mere contact may only result in infection. The surviving humans live in barrier cities, protected by energy shields that prevent phantoms from entering and are engaged in an ongoing struggle to free the planet after being infected by a phantom during one of our experiments. Scientist Dr. Aki Ross Ming Na and their mentor, Dr. Sid Donald Sutherland, discover a means of defeating the phantoms by gathering 8 spirits, unique energy patterns contained in various life forms. When joined, the resulting energy wave can negate the phantoms. Aki searches for the sixth spirit in the ruins of New York City when she is cornered by phantoms but rescued by Captain Gray Edwards, Alec Baldwin, and his squad of deep eyes, consisting of Master Sergeant Ryan Whittaker, Bing Rames, Neil Fleming, Steve Buscemi, and Corporal Jane Proudfoot, Paris Gilpin. It is revealed that Gray was once romantically involved with Aki. Returning to her barrier city, Aki joins Sid and appears before a leadership council along with General Douglas Hine, James Woods. Hine is determined to use the Zeus cannon, a powerful weapon aboard of space station, to destroy the Phantoms. Though Sid is concerned the cannon will damage Earth's Gaia, a spirit representing its ecosystem, Aki delays the use of the cannon by revealing that she has been infected and the collected spirits are keeping her infection stable, convincing the council that there may be another way to defeat the phantoms. However, this revelation leads Hine to incorrectly conclude that she is being controlled by the phantoms. Aki and the Deep Eye squad succeed in finding the seventh spirit as Aki's infection begins to worsen and she slips into unconsciousness. Her dream reveals that that the phantoms are the spirits of dead aliens brought to Earth on a fragment of their destroyed planet. Sid uses the seventh spirit to bring Aki's infection back under control, reviving her. To scare the council into giving him clearance to fire the Zeus cannon, Hine lowers part of the barrier shield protecting the city. Though Hine intended that only a few phantoms enter, his plan goes awry, and legions of phantoms invade the entire city. Aki, Sid, and the Deep Eyes attempt to reach Aki's spaceship, their means of escape, but Ryan, Neil, and Jane are killed by phantoms. Hine escapes the Zeus Cannon's space station, where he finally receives authorization to fire the cannon. Sid finds the eighth spirit at the crater site of the alien asteroids impacting on Earth. He lowers a shielded vehicle with Aki and Gray aboard into the crater to locate the final spirit. Just before they can reach it, Hine fires the Zeus cannon into the crater, not only destroying the eighth spirit but also revealing the Phantom Gaia. Aki has a vision of the Phantom home planet where she is able to receive this eighth spirit from the alien particles in herself. When Aki awakens, she and Gray combine it with the other 7. Hine continues to fire the Zeus cannon despite overheating warnings and intentionally destroys the cannon of himself. Gray sacrifices himself as a medium needed to physically transmit the completed spirit into the alien Gaia. The Earth's Gaia is returned to normal as the phantoms ascend into space. Finally at peace, Aki is pulled from the crater holding Gray's body and is seen looking into the newly liberated world. Alright, on Friday, we will be doing Flag Day 2021 film. Here's a premise in this film. This section needs expansion with more details that you can help by adding to it November 2020. But the premise. The daughter of a con artist struggles to come to terms with her father's past. Alright. Also on Friday, we will be doing It's a Wonderful Life 1946 film. Here's a plot in this film. On Christmas Eve, 1945, in Bedford Falls, New York, George Bailey contemplates suicide. The prayers of his family and friends reach heaven, where Angel second-class Clarence Oddbody is assigned to save George in order to earn his wings. Clarence is shown flashbacks of George's life. He watches 12-year-old George save his younger brother, Harry, from drowning, but lose hearing in his left ear. George later prevents the distraught town druggist, Mr. Gower, from accidentally poisoning the child's prescription. George plans a world tour before college and is reintroduced to Mary Hatch, who has a crush on him. The attraction is now mutual. When his father dies from a stroke, George postpones his travel to settle the family business. Bailey brothers building the loan, which an avaricious board member, Henry Potter, who controls most of the town, seeks to dissolve. The board members vote to keep the building and loan open if George runs it. George acquiesces and works alongside his uncle, Billy, giving his tuition to Harry with the understanding that Harry will run the business when he graduates. But Harry returns from college, married and with a job offer from his brother-in-law. George resigns himself to running the building alone. Following their wedding, George and Mary witness a run in the bank and use their honeymoon savings to keep the building alone solvent. Under George's leadership, the company establishes Bailey Park, a modern housing development revealing Potter's overpriced slums. Potter offers George $20,000 a year and to be his assistant, but realizing that Potter still intends to close the building and loan, George declines. During World War II, George is ineligible for service because of his deaf ear. Harry becomes a Navy pilot and wins the Medal of Honor for shooting down the kamikaze plane headed for a troop transport on Christmas Eve, 1945. As the town prepares the hero's welcome for Harry, Billy goes to the bank and to deposit $8,000 of the building and loans cash. Billy taunts Potter with a newspaper headline about Harry, but unintentionally wraps the envelope of cash in Potter's newspaper. Potter finds the money but says nothing, while Billy cannot recall how he misplaced it. With the bank examiner reviewing the company's records, George realizes scandal and criminal charges will follow. Ruthlessly retracing Billy's steps, George berates him and takes out of his frustration on his family. George appeals to Potter for a loan, offering his life insurance policy as collateral. Potter says George is worth more dead than alive and phones the police to arrest him. George flees, she gets drunk at a bar and prays for help. Suicidal, he goes to a nearby bridge, but before he can jump, Clarence dives into the river. George rescues him when George wishes he had never been born. Clarence shows him a timeline in which George never existed. Bedford Falls is now part of Pottersville, and on Savory town occupied by sleazy entertainment venues, crime and immoral people, and the druggist, Mr. Gower, was imprisoned for manslaughter since George did not prevent him from poisoning the pills. George's mother reveals that Billy was institutionalized after that building and loan failed. Bailey Park is a cemetery where George discovers Harry's grave. Since George did not save Harry, Harry did not save the soldiers on the transport, George finds that Mary is a spinster librarian. When he claims to her but to be her husband, she screams for the police and George runs away. Convinced that Clarence is his guardian angel, George begs for his life back. The original reality is restored, and a grateful George rushes home to await his arrest. Mary and Billy have rallied the townspeople who donate enough to cover the missing $8,000. Harry arrives and toasts George as the richest man in town. George receives a copy of the Adventures of Tom Sawyer, as a gift from Clarence, with a note reminding George that no man is a failure who has friends, and thanking him for his wings. When a bell on the Christmas tree rings, George's youngest daughter, Zuzu, explains that it means that an angel has earned his wings. George and his family and friends sing Auld Lang Syne as they celebrate Christmas Eve. Alright, on this photo it says, the guardian angel, Clarence Henry Travers, is about to show what life would be like if George had never been born. Alright. Also on Friday, we will be doing Jungle Cruise 2021 film. By me. Here's the plot to this film. In 1556, Don Aguirre leads Spanish conquistadors to South America to search for Lagrimas de Cristo tree, whose flowers cure illness, heal injuries, and lift curses. After most conquistadors die, the Puca Bachuna tribe heals the survivors with the tree's flowers. When the tribal chief refuses to reveal the tree's location, Aguirre stabs him and burns the village. The chief curses them. They are made immortal and unable to leave sight of the Amazon River. The jungle recaptures anyone attempting to escape. In 1916, London, Dr. Lily Holton's Tears of the Moon research is presented by her brother, MacGregor, to the Royal Society, claiming that the tree's flowers could revolutionize medicine and aid the British war effort. The Houghtons request access to a recently acquired arrowhead artifact. Lily believes it and the known Amazon map are the key to finding the tree. The request is denied, as the tree is believed to be a myth and female scientists are considered to be inferior. Lily steals the arrowhead and narrowly evades Prince Joachim, an ambitious German also seeking the tree. Arriving in Brazil, Lily and MacGregor need a boat and a guide to take them down the Amazon. They hire skipper Frank Wolf, who offers cut-rate jungle cruises established with baked dangers and corny puns. Initially he declines due to the dangers, but reconsiders upon seeing the arrowhead. Frank steals back his repossessed boat engine, and the trio departs after escaping Joachim, who pursues them on a U-boat. In Frank's cabin, Lily finds photos and sketches of modern inventions, as well as maps, drawings, and research on the tears of the moon. She believes that he seeks the tree, but insists he gave up on long ago. Puka Michuna tribe, disguised as cannibals, captures them as Frank was unable to cancel the full danger in time. Lily is angry and doubts Frank's honesty. The tribal chief translates the arrowhead's symbols, revealing the tree's location and that it only blooms under a blood moon. Meanwhile, Joachim locates the conquistadors petrified inside a cave and freeze them by diverting the river. He will lift their curse if they retrieve the arrowhead for him. The Spaniards attack the tribe and fatally stab Frank. Lily escapes with the arrowhead. As she crosses the curse's boundary, finds captured the pursuing Spaniards, dragging them back into the jungle. To the Hutons' shock, a fully revived Frank is found the next morning. He reveals that he is Francisco Lopez, one of the cursed conquistadors who were once on the expedition to save Aguirre's gravely ill daughter, but attacked the village. Frank trapped the other conquistadors after years of fighting away from the river, where they turned to stone. He then spent the next 4 centuries unsuccessfully searching for the tree, as the artifact was protected by the then tribal chief's daughter. It would later be kept in the London Museum for Dr. Albert Falls. Lily and Frank continued to Luna Rota waterfall and uncovered the submerged temple. Meanwhile, Joachim captures MacGregor, forcing him to reveal Lily's location. Frank, Lily, MacGregor, and the Germans and the Spaniards all converge in the temple of the tree. It is discovered that the arrowhead is actually a heart-shaped locket containing a gemstone. Placing the gem and locket into the trunk, the dormant tree blooms under the blood moon. As a fight ensues, Lily recovers one flower, the Germans drown, Joachim is crushed to death, and Frank crashes his boat to block the river, petrifying him and the Spaniards. Lily, realizing her true feelings for Frank, sacrifices the flower to lift his curse and restore his mortality. He decides he will continue living to be with Lily. The moon's last beam blooms a single flower, allowing Lily's research to proceed. Upon their successful return to England, Lily becomes a full professor at the University of Cambridge, and the Royal Society offers her full membership, which she rejects and guides Frank in London. Alright. Also on Friday, we will be doing Never Back Down Revolt. 2021 film. Here's a plot to this film. A woman who is kidnapped and forced to compete in daylight underground fights and has to battle her way out to freedom. Alright. Also on Friday, we will be doing Our Ladies, 2019 film. Here's a premise in this film. In 1996, a group of Catholic schoolgirls from the Scottish Highlands, town of Fort William, get an opportunity to go into Edinburgh for a choir competition, but they are more interested in drinking, partying, and hooked up than winning the competition. Alright. Also on Friday, we will be doing Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, 1987 film. Here's a plot to this film. In this photo said the route taken by Dale Griffith and Neil Page in the film. That's what the image looks like. Alright, here's the plot. Neil Page is an advertising executive on a business trip in New York City, eager to return to his family in Chicago for Thanksgiving, which is in 2 days' time. After attending the tedious meeting that ends without a decision, Neil unsuccessfully attempts to hail a cab during rush hour. He is further delayed after paying a greedy attorney for a cab that is inadvertently stolen by Dale Griffith, a loquacious traveling salesman who sells shower curtain rings. Neil and Dale pass again at LaGuardia Airport, where they board a plane to O'Hare. Their plane is diverted to Wichita due to a blizzard in Chicago. Neil, realizing that he must spend the night in Wichita, agrees to accompany Dale to a cheap, dirty motel. While checking in, Dell mistakenly takes Neil's credit card during the night. Neil loses his temper with Dell and lambasts him. Hurt by Neil's invective, Dell calls Neil a cold-hearted cynic and says that despite how Neil feels, he likes himself and that his wife and customers also like him. Neil comes down and the two men go back to bed. As they sleep, their cash is stolen by a burglar. On the following day, they attempt to reach Chicago by train. By Neil's design, they're assigned seats and are in separate cars and they say goodbye prior to boarding. The locomotive breaks down near Jefferson City, sending the passengers in the field where Dell and Neil are reunited. They travel to St. Louis by bus. Upon arrival, Dell raises cash by selling Sharo curtain rings to passerby, advertising the items as earning earrings. Neil inadvertently offends Dell over lunch and the two part ways again. At the St. Louis airport, Neil attempts to rent a car, but finds the space at the distant rental lot empty. After a long and perilous walk back to the terminal, Neil vents his anger with a profanity-laced tirade at the rental agent to no avail. In desperation, he attempts to hire a taxi to Chicago, but insults the dispatcher, who then punches Neil. By chance, Dell arrives with his own rental car just in time to rescue Neil. While driving, they find themselves arguing again. The situation is made worse when Dell nearly gets them killed on a freeway after driving in the wrong direction. Scraping between two oncoming semi-trailer trucks. When they take a moment to compose themselves by the side of the road, Dell's carelessly discarded cigarette sets fire to the car's interior. Neil initially gloats, thinking that Dell is liable for the damage. Neil's amusement turns into anger when Dell reveals he found Neil's credit card in his wallet and used it to rent a car. With his credit cards destroyed in the fire, Neil barters his plaget watch for a motel room for himself. Dell is broke and attempts to sleep in the car, which it has lost his roof in the fire. Neil eventually feels sympathy for Dell and invites him in from the cold and snowy night. They share Dell's collection of miniatures and laugh about the events of the past 2 days. The pair resume driving to Chicago the next morning, but their badly damaged car is impounded by the police due to it being roadworthy. They finally make it to Chicago 2 days late. In the back of the refrigerator truck, the two finally part ways at the Chicago L station. On the train, Neil remembers cryptic comments Dell made during the journey and realizes that he may be alone for the holiday. Struck by compassion, Neil quickly returns to the station, finds Dell sitting alone, and asks why he has not gone home. Dell reveals that he does not have a home and that his wife died 8 years earlier. Neil returns home to his family and introduces them to Dell, whom he has invited to Thanksgiving dinner. In the post-credits scene, the same executive from the very beginning of the film is still in the conference room trying to decide which ad to choose, with a partially eaten Thanksgiving dinner on the table. Alright, that's all the home video releases we got. So second, we will be doing TV series over home video releases. It is about Tari Tari. On episode 11 says, as a choir club works hard on its musical, Taichi, who is creating a oh, sorry. Okay. Alright, number 12. Okay. Sorry, class. Alright. After Taichi manages to get the photo of Sawa for the painter, he spots the props Wayne made being yes, mom. Okay. Bye. Okay, Wayne made being taken away by the garbage men. As the others head to the garbage dump to recover them, Konetsu pleads with the student council to resume the school festival, only to have her proposal rejected. The next day, as Wakana visits Mahiro's grave, she runs into Naoko and shows her the song she and Mahiro wrote together. As Wayne works on props, Taichi seeks help to make some costumes while Sawa pleads to the neighborhood association in bringing in an audience, and Konetsu gets some help from the vocal group. Meanwhile, the chairman plans to oppose anything delaying the construction. Alright. What did I say it was before? Let's see. Oh yeah, it was episode 11. Okay, that was episode 12, class. Alright. So, that's all the TV series over home releases we got. So third, we will be doing Emma Monkey Pictures and Roma Cow Productions and Duck and Cheese Company shorts. It is about Tom and Jerry. It is about old rockin' chair Tom. In the summary it says, Tom is briefly replaced by another cat, Lightning. First appearance of Lightning, third cartoon where Tom and Jerry both win. Number 36. Old Rockin' Chair Tom. Alright. That's all the shorts we got. So fourth, we will be doing Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra 5G series. It is about Mei, who gets a wallet in her pocket. She goes to Shoppers Drug Mart to buy presents, and also the games from EB Games at my mall. She goes to Ottawa and do her Christmas dance with Beatrice and Horace playing the flute, and Mimi as an executive. And then they all live happily together at Ottawa for a dance. And come to think of Mimi, she goes back to the studio to have Beatrice and Horace have there again. Alright. That's all I got for today. Let's do some work now. Hey, Cairo and Nikita. Yes? Looks like we're gonna have to just make some things around here. What's that? I don't know. But I'm pretty sure this is will be Monday. This is Monday. That's cool.